All right, guys, Bitcoin is back below $90,000. We're at 89,800, breaking below a critical symmetrical triangle, getting rejection from these EMA ribbons. Does this mean that Bitcoin is going to drop more? That's what I'm going to cover in today's video, so make sure to watch until the end. Guys, Jim Cramer absolutely screwed us. I think that's the truth. He posted something 5 hours ago, and guess what? The inverse Cramer for crypto, you know what happens. So we're going to talk about Jim Cramer. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about the BlackRock ETF, the most successful ETF in history, selling the most amount of Bitcoin it has ever done since its inception. So a lot of things, unfortunately bearish things to get into on today's update. But before we talk about any of those things, make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe to become a crypto kid, turn on the notification bell, and let's jump into the price chart. All right, 89, guys, 89,800 for Bitcoin, breaking below a critical pattern. Yesterday's update was titled Bitcoin Fake Pump, Don't Get Trapped. Sadly, the intermediate short term, or the intermediate term, is not the brightest at all. We're below the EMA ribbons. We're below the 54 simple moving average. We did a deep dive on this different sets of analysis, so I'm not going to talk too much about why I think Bitcoin is going to be in a bear market for some time. But the truth is we're below all the levels that you need to be above to maintain a bullish structure. The only bull case that I talked about was if this week Bitcoin was able to erase all the gains that it, all the amounts of money that it lost, right, from the 102 level down to 93. If this week we were to break back over the 102 point and make ourselves get back over the 102, the 50-54 simple moving averages, then yeah, somehow there would still be some hopium left. But in the meantime, I mean, it's Wednesday, it's the 19th of November, and you're not really doing that. So to me, the bearishness still appears to be the more likely event. That's just a update on the macro. When you go into the short-term symmetrical triangle, breaking below the line of support, where is the next line of support for Bitcoin? And are we actually going to see a rebound to the death cross on the daily time frame? Like I said, we would at least get to the 200 daily moving average before any further price depreciation. Well, the thing is, in the very short term, Bitcoin is currently sitting at the Fibonacci golden pockets. The Fibonacci has been a fantastic tool over the past few months. Since April of this year, you've been respecting the Fibonacci quite well. You can see that this was a line of support and resistance. Once you got rejected from it, you hit the 0.382. Once the 0.382 was lost, you came down to the 0.5, retested the 382, fell below the 0.5, and now you're sitting at the golden pocket, the strongest level of support the Fibonacci can offer. Now we're breaking below. In the 1 hourly time frame, if you go below the swing lows of approximately $89,100 to $89,200, then in my opinion, due to the vast amount of resistance we have to the upside, I think you can make your way towards the 0 point. This is going to be, I'll tell you right now, the 0.736, which is sitting at 85K, 85.6 to be more accurate. So if we lose these swing lows in the shorter time frame, 89.2, 89.1, unfortunately 85K is going to be the next level of support for Bitcoin. Ideally, you want to break above these EMA ribbons and start hitting the 96s and then try to make your way into the 200 daily moving average. Even if Bitcoin does fall to 85K, I think over the next 1 month and a half, we will get up to the 200 daily moving average, get a rejection from that point, and then continue into the low 70s, potentially even upper 60s. The reason I think this will be the case is because you've done that in every single cycle. Usually, when the death cross occurs, it marks a low for Bitcoin, but that's only when you're in a bull market. In the transition phase from bull market into bear market, instead of marking the local low, what you do is you retest the 200 daily moving average, and then you go into a bear market. This has happened in prior cycles as well. And we're following the prior Bitcoin cycles perfectly. So I don't see why we don't experience that same retest and then correction for Bitcoin's current cycle. So I will be shorting. I'm shorting at higher price levels. If you want to be shorting Bitcoin, you can do so using the links in the description down below for Weeks and Pinex, Coinflare also, all linked down below, and you'll get the best bonuses available on the markets. Before ending off today's Bitcoin update, guys, Cramer is, he said, I like Bitcoin. And guess what? Ever since Cramer said, I like Bitcoin, he said the words, I like Bitcoin, and I posted, we're so screwed. Ever since he posted, I like Bitcoin, Look at what has happened to the price chart. Look at what has happened. Cramer, I like Bitcoin. Down you go. And it's not even a joke. Like it's just so inversely accurate. It's pretty crazy. It sucks. So Jim Cramer is bullish, and you're seeing the ETF holders, they're selling a bunch of Bitcoin. IBIT, the most successful ETF in the history of ETFs, offloading the most amount of Bitcoin. They've offloaded $523 million yesterday. Overall, they're still holding a good amount of Bitcoin, the ETFs in total, and the amount of selling pressure you're seeing on Bitcoin in relative to the amount of Bitcoin being sold in the ETFs, it's still a good ratio. You know, the ETF holders, they're still keeping on to their Bitcoin, but obviously, you know, it sucks when the ETFs are selling because that's direct selling pressure on a daily basis. But guys, that is it for today's update. Make sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's video, and also watch the Moonshow live streams that I conduct, where I go into these topics in more detail and we cover breaking news in more detail. That's an hour-long show, so you can check the Moonshow Daily Crypto Live for my daily shows at 6:45 p.m. GMT plus 4 time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all on tomorrow's update with a special guest. So take care, and as always, bye-bye.